Hey Rick, how you doing, buddy?
Good, Jace. How you going?
Did you like that new little intro there?
I like that little intro. That was nice. Like subtle music. Very cool. Good job, mate. Good job as always.
Absolutely. Now, we've moved the show around a little bit. Before we were going to watch it later, but they seem to be dropping these episodes earlier.
Yeah.
And it could be because we're around that daylight saving period, international hours. I'm not quite sure, but we are absolutely getting these episodes earlier than we were getting WandaVision. So, nevertheless, we've just finished watching episode 3.
We did.
Oh, we're halfway through the show.
I know. How weird is that?
It's done already. Yeah. pretty incredible.
Crazy.
Initial thoughts, buddy, on the episode.
I love this episode. I actually enjoyed this episode more than I did last week's episode, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Really cool
interesting.
Episode.
Yeah. Look, I must
made me think.
I did enjoy the episode too. Overall, I thought it was what this episode did show to me, though, is tonally they're going a little bit different with some of their characters. Yeah. I.e., I thought in this episode, when we got to see Baron Zemo, it's a very different Baron Zemo than what we get from Civil War. Mm-hmm, it's far more leaning towards the comic book villainous side. Like I felt Daniel Bruhl was hamming it up a bit more as Baron Zemo, which I'm not complaining about. Good. It's still great,
Yeah.
But I also thought the big change too was also in Sharon Carter.
Yes.
Like I thought her character was very different from what we had seen previous in the Winter Soldier and Civil War. She seemed a far more outgoing and very different, much more out there characters.
There's something going on there, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll get into that. But then I thought about it, Rick, straight after, and I thought, well, of course they're not going to be the same characters when we last left them. Because of the blip. Everything's changed because of the blip.
Everything's changed, that's right.
Which this show continually deals with, which I absolutely adore, the fact that it does deal with the blip and the after effects of it. But, I mean, this episode, Rick, straight away, before even the opening credits, they busted Zemo out of prison.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see it. I didn't think it was going to happen. Like last week, we thought we were going to go in. They're going to have a chat to him.
Yeah, this is going to be a deep psychological, 15-minute scene.
Mate,
but they don't waste time. They 100%. They get him out of there, and they're teaming up with Zemo, which is a big surprise, but also a welcome surprise because of the complexity of all that brings. I would say it did jar me a little bit because the Civil War really gave you the impression that this was just a family man who's lost his family in the Sokovian accident and was now looking for revenge. But in this episode, we find out that he is indeed a baron. He comes from wealth.
He's got money.
Yeah. He's got a very checkered criminal past because of all of the connections he has. So he's a radically different character than what was presented to us in Civil War. But I absolutely enjoyed it, This hopped around location to location quite a bit. It definitely is a globe-trotting situation. But, what did you think of Baron Zemo?
I liked it. I actually liked this character a little bit more. It just gives him that a little bit more substance to him. I enjoy it. And you could see there was elements to him. Obviously, we'll go more into it as we have the conversation. But you could see it, as he's got these old cars that he's collected over the time for hunting these people, and then you can see the mask that he had there, and the iconic
mask.
Perfect.
Mask. It's perfect.
Yeah, so good. And there's just something about it because this episode really made me think. He's very manipulative. We know that, and he's very, methodical in what he can do. But it makes you wonder what his, gender is in this. Is he playing both sides? Is he actually, want to wipe out all the super soldiers? You know what I mean? Like it's so good.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear, Rick, that he ain't going to become a good guy. I mean, he's just, there's no way they would not make him. But yeah, he will turn on him. He's playing. That's what's awesome about the character. He's playing the situation to best suit himself. So, which is absolutely fantastic. So, but there is a bit going on in this episode. I talked about locales. When they go, is it Mandapore? Is it Mandapore? I think they go the Agent City at night, where they have that situation when they're having to run from the entire neighborhood because everyone's out to kill them, which is a great scene.
God, John Wick style. Like, it's just, so good.
But we get those kind of scenes. It is very Jason Bourne, James Bond in its structure at the moment because they're investigating and trying to get to the bottom of this situation. But there was some really awesome scenes. I love the scene with the scientists in the the containers and all the containers.
Shipping container.
Yeah, I thought it was a really interesting scene. It was interesting because we got a lot of exposition. We got this guy had picked up and was working on the serum, but the fact that Baron executed him before it gets blown up. So very fascinating kind of stuff.
He must have knew it because he knew there was a gun there. Yeah. He must obviously he's been there because he was filling the table and then he knew the gun was there.
Well, he was filling under the table, which I also took as, where if you are going to stash a gun in that scenario, where are they going to be? Always.
But he was doing it on top. Yeah, but he was feeling it on the top. That's what kind of got me. And then he went underneath. It's kind of weird. That's what made me think he's been there before. Like, this guy was playing.
You don't know where Zemo has been at this point.
That's right.
I think we can really put our hat on the fact that we can trust him when whatever he says in this current situation.
No, that's right.
Yeah. But it was good. I mean, he's pulling the strings straight away in this episode with Sam, and Bucky big time. All right,
he's sticking it in.
He caused that fight in the club. Yeah. He caused that fight as a way to get attention. Because his mind, he turns around to Sam and goes, didn't take him long to go back to his old habits. So there's definitely manipulation going on there.
Oh, he's winding him up even on the trip there. Even the first meet when he walked straight in, he started, doing the sequence just to test him to see if his old ways. And then, raised him up on the plane as well, reading from the book, mentioned that name. So he's just got that agenda. It's so good. He's blazing.
I thought it was a nice little touch to say it's the same notebook that Cap had. He wrote the list down from the Winter Soldier. So that was a nice little touch they had. There are a couple of names that were mentioned in this episode, Rick, I think we probably should get to the bottom of because there are a lot of fans out there that love the MCU, but maybe don't know everything about the MCU. And I'll confess I'm one of those people. So, but there are a couple of names that I thought were really interesting. And one of them was Power Broker, got mentioned a few times.
He did.
In this. So let's have a look what we've got here. And this is courtesy of MarvelFandom.com. So we're just going to have a look. But the Power Broker who comes from the 616 Earth, basically the history of him is there you go. There's the comic book iteration. He's a businessman who gave superpowers to people in exchange of 70% of the earnings they made using those abilities. One of his clients was Paul Brokerage. So, in that very quick kind of paragraph, we can surmise that he is a businessman, that he's doing this to profit. So the Power Broker, who we haven't seen yet, we will, I would say, in the next episode, after
he was heavily
meet with him. Yeah, so he's obviously doing this for profit. And that paragraph, as far as I'm concerned, if you look at that paragraph again,
makes sense.
Who gave superpowers to people. And that's the business model he had. The difference is the Flag Smashers, they stole from him.
That's right.
They'd stolen the serum for their own, for their own purposes. So, but I thought that was interesting to have a look at the Power Broker. And another name that was mentioned, Rick, and you mentioned this one to me because I forgot this one, and that was Conrad Mack.
Yeah.
And the reason we're bringing up Conrad Mack because they're also known as Smiling Tiger. which was an alias that Sam had to play in the episode.
How good was that?
He was dressed up like a pimp. He had to drink that. What was it, the heart of the snake?
The snake. They cut it open, and then he's like, "Yeah,
very cool, very cool.
So, loved it.
Yeah,
but yeah, I but when you look at that scene though, obviously that when they're walking over the bridge or whatever, and they said, you've got to play these characters, and you could see like Bucky, like just didn't want to go back to being the Winter Soldier. He had to get into that character, and you can see that Sam was obviously worried about him. He was going to be unhinged, especially in that nightclub scene. But yeah, such a great scene. I love that.
Well, what it does too, it just reinforced in this episode, as it has all the way through the series, that Bucky as a Winter Soldier had a very deep, long history. Like, was involved in a lot of things over a lot of decades. So it's been really good to kind of dig into that and see, like, he's still not in the underground. He's known as, oh my God, that's a Winter Soldier.
How good is it? It just all unfolds. Like, Sam had to answer that call from his sister and put her on loudspeaker. Just, yeah.
Yeah, and he almost got away with it too if she hadn't said Sam.
And then it just all unfolded. So good.
Yeah, which was a great scene too, that kind of interrogation scene. Was really kind of cool by that. Who was she? What was her name? I've forgotten now. The more mature lady with short hair.
Short hair. Yeah, yep. I completely lost me. Madam something.
Someone will know out there.
But yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was a great little scene as well. There's a lot to take in. I'll be honest. I don't think we can be. I think we should be forgiven for not knowing remembering every tiny detail of an episode we just watched, because there's a lot of density to this series, which makes it wonderful. It makes it definitely of the standard of the Falcon Winter Soldier. So what would you know how in the last couple of episodes there seems to be an action scene a major set piece every episode. What was this one? Is that the containers?
Containers with Sharon. For me, I think it was.
Yeah, Sharon.
He was just
that was a hell of a great. She was mowing through those guys.
Because they are in the tank, and then she's like the only one who's going to stop those guys from coming in, and she
the whole container thing around that, what Sharon was able to do, and that fight scene was top notch. Let's face it, it's Marvel cinema quality action on screen again. So, which was really cool. Yeah,
she was
a great. They're really sticking to the 3-act structure with this show. I think I explained this on this show or the other one. The 3-act structure where you've got a beginning, middle, of end, 3 acts. And if you split this series, which is 6 episodes, the first 2 episodes were Act 1, and now we're into Act 2. And this episode felt like a really meaty Act 2. Yeah, and the fact that we're going to have another episode like this where there's going to be more investigation, I think they will continue to team up with Zemo for another episode minimum.
Okay. Yeah,
I do think so, the way they're going. But I tell you one thing, though, Rick, every one of my guesses so far has been 100% wrong. So take that with a grain of salt.
And what guesses
it's a hard show to predict what's going to happen, because you can go so many directions, Rick. So, yeah. What do you think it's going to go next? I mean, do you think we get to meet the Power Broker next episode? Do we get,
I don't.
Do we see Zemo betraying the crew? Like,
I don't think we'll see Power Broker. I think he's just going to be one of those characters that you're going to evolve pretty much to the maybe possibly the end, but we're not going to see a lot of him.
Yeah.
But Zemo, I definitely can see him, betraying the team. You can see it that way for sure.
Did you notice a bit with John Walker in the episode? We don't get a lot of John Walker.
We've got to talk about.
But there's a little bit where his
attitude.
It's like there's a close-up shot of, like, it was almost like he was disorientated and he was kind of struggling. Like it was like a little hint the way they shot it, Rick, that made him like a little bit unstable. And I just love that little kind of shot.
When they spat in his face.
I think
was it that scene?
Yeah. Well,
and he kind of lost it a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah. Do you know who I am? Oh my God.
Yeah,
That's
but the
hilarious.
intensity, and
he's so arrogant and self-assured, isn't he?
And that's what I mean. Like, you wouldn't see that from Steve Rogers. He wouldn't have that.
No. John Walker,
beauty of it, completely different side.
John Walker is his own thing, which
I
reckon we'll get to see a bit more of next week. They'll go back down the John Walker rabbit hole a little bit. They'll obviously keep intersecting along the way. There will become a time, though, there will be a turn. I do believe John Walker becomes a villain.
Yep.
There's no doubt about it. And I also think John Walker may get a hold of one of those serums before the end of the series.
For his own use?
Yes.
And becoming...
my guesses at this point. My haven't got one thing right yet guess. So. All right. How about you, Rick? Are you looking forward to next week?
I
can't believe we're halfway through it.
Well, that's it. We've only got 2 episodes left, so these 2 are just going to be up there. And I still believe Hydra is somewhere, because a lot of these names still are linked to Hydra and Red Skull in the comics. Yeah. So I just think that they're going to make an appearance.
Well, if we look at, I don't really have any hard evidence to say that they are going to return, but just conceptually, the idea of Hydra is you cut off one head and 2 sprout up. So being that they're almost, you can't get rid of them. They always return. So
especially well, that's right. And I mean, the Power Broker in the comics is, associated with Red Skull, and so that's what makes me think, are they going to go down?
They might. But there may be some loose attachment. But remember, Red Skull would never be part of, unless he gets off that planet. I don't think that's going to happen. So,
but let's talk about the coming towards the end, which was interesting.
Oh, yeah, go on.
The end scene with when they go in, and then Bucky goes, "No, I'm going to go for a walk," and he starts seeing those little marbles or whatever they are. They look, and then he runs into
Black Panther bodyguard.
Yeah. Crazy, and she goes, and she's after Zemo, so she obviously has been tracking them or following Bucky.
That's a huge surprise from the episode, actually, Rick. That was a massive surprise. I'm so glad you brought it up. I would have hated to thought we ended this episode without talking about the biggest surprise of the episode. But it makes absolute sense. It makes absolute sense. What I am fascinated in, though, because you brought a Black Panther character into the series. Are they going to deal with or mention, or how do they talk around T'Challa? Because I think that's the biggest question.
That's a valid point.
How is the MCU going to deal with the death of T'Challa? So we all know they're not recasting Black Panther. That character is going to rest in peace. All right? That's it. So I'll be curious. In this time frame, is he still alive? Do
they still mention it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. But to get away from the bummer side of that, it was great to see one of the bodyguards there, because she'll add that extra complexibility to the plot. So you know what I mean? And isn't it nice, Rick, not to rag on the film that you saw last night? Is it nice to watch content that actually makes sense?
Did you hear the line that they said in this show about that?
No, what they say?
Like, there's something about Skull Island.
Yes,
he said it, and I went, "Oh my god,
Skull Island!"
Skull Island, yeah. But if you don't know what we're talking about, me and Chase actually dropped a video today about
Godzilla versus Kong review. Check it out. If you're anywhere in the US, I think YouTube banned it, but check it out on Facebook. That's where to catch it.
Go check it out on
Facebook. A lot nicer to us.
But we got to quickly talk about Sharon. Her little kind of.
Well, what did you make of that, Rick? I mean, I made that she was obviously
she's working for someone.
Is she working for someone, or is she the boss?
I don't know. She sat in the back seat. That was like maybe a bodyguard or a driver, someone that opened the door.
A driver,
for her.
Yeah. It made me think she's more powerful than what she's letting on. Again, I mean, I'll just repeat from what we saw in what I said earlier in the episode. Those 2 fundamental shifts in characters with Sharon Carter and Baron Zemo I do enjoy they've gone down that way, but it was a shock initially to see those two characters behaving so differently. You know, I mean, Baron Zemo in Civil War is pretty well deadpan throughout the way, but here he's got so much charisma, and Sharon just has so much more confidence and so much self-assured, where she was
she said that
pretty quiet, stoic kind of agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., wasn't she, for many years?
Well, that's right. So, and she reminded both of them that she had to steal the S.H.I.E.L.D., do this, to, you know. And then she can't speak to her family.
Well, and they deal with that. Even Sam feels guilt over that, as he says on the plane. And, she's put her ass on the line a few times now for the cause. Right. So, and she certainly needs to be recognised for her efforts, absolutely. But incredible. She was the highlight of the episode because she had that great fight.
Mate, she was.
Yeah. What's this? Here we go, Diego. I think Diego, how you doing, mate? I just finished watching your review on Facebook. The rant. We did rant. I did rant. I will just say. There you go. Bruce has just popped in to say hi. Hey, Bruce, go. Oh, you'll love the episode. Thanks, go watch it, mate. Don't watch us. Go.
Drop us a comment later what you thought.
Yeah. Absolutely. Look, we weren't big fans, but we're not here to talk about Godzilla versus Kong.
Check it out later.
Yeah, check it out on Facebook, guys. That's it for this week. It's a bit of a short episode. I think we've kind of covered what we need to. Thanks for everybody for watching.
Thanks, guys.
Don't forget, Monday night, we have our third episode of our Zack Snyder's Justice League chapter breakdown show. And obviously, we're breaking down chapter 3 coming up this Monday. Obviously, next Friday again, we're in for episode 4 of the Falcon and Winter Soldier. We're getting to the business end of this series already, so
it's gonna be good.
So far, it's been an absolute treat. You know, I got asked the other day, how do I compare it to WandaVision? I don't think that's a fair comment. I just go, look, they've both been great on their own levels, and we're only halfway through this series at the moment, so.
Right.
Absolutely brilliant. All right, guys, I'm out. I think we're done, Rick.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys, for watching, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one.
See you guys. Bye.
Get out of here.